Y'all, it's a Friday, and I don't like the metal, but your pastor probably need a job. If you got to have a job if you want to be with me, blah 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 blah. And I get it, man. I get it. I heard what the Apostle Paul said. I heard what he said. It's inspiring, isn't it? To know that you could receive double honor. Ain't it nice? And then there's some lazy pastors. You good. Don't stop it. Bass.
It's the show that will get you thinking, and where the topics are hot. Feel free to comment whether we agree or not, 'cause he's got something to say.
Sirwalterj.
He's got something to say. Sirwalterj.
Report live 7 days a week, always on time, but his time is not free. Sirwalterj, always on fleek. Latest trending topics had you jumping out your seat.
He's got something to say.
Come on in. The water's fine. Hey everybody, Sirwalterj Jones Show. I'm here. It is the evening weekend edition. Baby. How it was coming to water's fine. It's actually a midday connection. It's still around 3:25, 26 in the PM Central Standard Time. A full 26 in the PM. Anyway, Eastern Standard Time, and everybody else, wherever you live, you do the math. Bunkers, y'all doing all right? It's good to see y'all. I see all y'all. Today I want to talk real brief like. All right, real quick like. Pastors, listen, pastors. I get it. It's a tough job. To whom much is given, much is required. I get it. You entered into this thing, whether you was called or whether you just decided to do it yourself. James said a very strange thing. He said, I would that all of you not become teachers, instructors. He said, because you are going to be held to a stricter judgment. You don't want you don't want to do this, because especially if you don't know anything about the scriptures, you don't want to do it. You don't want to do this. And then Paul wrote this letter to Timothy. He said that he that you desire. And he didn't say you all who are called. He said if you desire the office of a bishop, an episcopal supervisual role. If you desire it, not a problem. You desire a good thing. But here are the things that you have to. This pecking. This qualifications here. If you miss one, you ain't qualified. So there's a lot of people who are. Shut up, Kurt. Kurt said, "Breathe." There are some people who are in your pulpits who are not qualified. So there are some churches out there who can afford to take care of a pastor financially. That is the agreement that churches have with their pastors. No problem with that. You are worthy of double honor, what Scripture says. And he says, muzzle not the ox, which tread out the corn. That's y'all's agreement. My beef is when you enter into this thing called pastoring with the expectation that the people got to take care of you, or else you have a sense of entitlement. That's the problem. Because we see where the Apostle Paul was working. He was still making tents as he was traveling from church to church, collecting offerings, not for himself. He said, I have the right to collect his offering for myself. He said, but I don't take that right. I'm trying to help these poor people. Why don't y'all have that spirit, huh? Why can't? Here's a video here. Do right by your pastor, this worship leader says.
Pastors back in the day usually pastored the congregation. This was a big thing 40 years ago, 30 years ago, and even some churches today, where pastors preach to congregations who will not give. And then the pastor then has to go and travel and do traveling ministry to support their lives. And then the congregation complains that the pastor's not there to preach. Well, sometimes the pastor's not there to preach is because other people's congregations are more honoring of that pastor. And so when the pastor has to go somewhere and try to figure out, and you get mad, ask yourself, do I make sure that he doesn't have to do that?
How did we get to that place, though, that the pastor had to go out and go preach? Because people, did it start off this way, or did he start losing members because of his teaching or something have going on? Number two, why you got a hat on in church, Why you in the pulpit and you got a hat on? I just don't understand you people, what y'all did to church today. Yeah, this is a public place, and he would not wear that hat in court. He would not wear that same outfit going into a man's courthouse. He wouldn't do it. I just don't understand why we disrespect this place called a house. Y'all call it a house of God. You created it for him, and then you disrespect it like that. You won't even go into a library. Some librarians will tell you, take your hat off. You can't even go to see your. When I was coming up, you couldn't even walk into a grammar school. The parents had to take their hats off. Man, something wrong with y'all.
And you don't think that's in the Bible? You mind if I read you a scripture? Nehemiah 13, verse 10 through 13 says, I also learned that the portions assigned to the Levites, what's that? The tithe, had not been given to them, and that all the Levites and musicians responsible for the service had gone back to their own fields. So I rebuked the officials and said, why is the house of God neglected? The people had stopped giving, and the musicians and the preachers had to go figure out how they were going to pay their bills, because the people running that were keeping the best of the tithes for themselves and not.
They were keeping the best of the tithes. Number one. Number one, there are no Levites today. There are no priests. Y'all got Catholic priests, and y'all got all these priests and these other fake phony. There are no Levites. I'm losing numbers. And they didn't bring their monies in there to take care of these people. They didn't need money. They needed to eat instant. So the tithe was food, and they needed this food to feed, because God says, listen, y'all don't have no inheritance but me. I'm going to be your inheritance. So you going to work for me up in this temple. And the people are going to go out there, and they're going to bring the food to you. That's why he said, you rob me in tithe and offering. Which tells me there's two different things. Tithe can't be money then. If he said you rob me in offering, well, then why didn't God just say you rob me in offering? Why did he have to say you rob me in tithe and offering if they both was money? That didn't make no sense. It makes no sense to me. Who's leading y'all in Bible study? Who leading y'all? Renee said, this is not going to be quick. Okay, so he went back to Nehemiah because it's offering time, and they need that money. They need the money, dog.
And so then now those people had to go to the fields, whatever the fields are, go get jobs. And now people are coming, I didn't like the worship today. I didn't like, where's Pastor Julian? Where's this person? Where's Bishop? Where's this? Well, they're in their field. Because they have a family just like you do. Why are we neglecting the very place that God has designated to bring the new covenant tithe, which is what? I'm blessed.
The new covenant tithe is I'm blessed. Did I miss something? Where was I? In your first chapter. The new covenant tithe? What? There is no new covenant tithe. The tithe was not even brought up by the apostles. What was this new covenant tithe? And when Jesus brought up the tithe, he was talking to an old covenant people. There was still a temple. There was still a veil in the temple when Jesus was talking about tithing. He said, you all tithing in the smallest portions of spices, mint and cumin. He said, well, you got to do that because the Levites are still in existence. The priests are still in existence. They're in that temple over there. Zerubbabel's temple and Herod's had annexed the temple. It's still over there. The folk are still working there. So he said, but y'all are so faithful to this tithing thing. You were tithing even the smallest portions of the spices. Woo, y'all sure is dedicated. But then he was saying that to rebuke them. He said, but you are forgetting something. You are forgetting a much more weightier matter. This is more important than you giving your tithes. And what is that? Justice, faithfulness, and mercy. You're forgetting those three things. And so you can do all these other stuff. Though I give my body to be burned, and though I feed the hungry, and though I build habitat for humanities and all this stuff, blah, 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 just to give people looking at me doing these things. He said, but if you don't have love, it profits you nothing. Why are you doing these things? Why are you giving a tithe? He said, you are so faithful in doing it. You're doing this, even the minute portions of it. But he's saying you have no mercy. None.
I'm blessed. And the refiner's fire is in the house of the Lord. A lot of times people, pastors back in the day.
Yeah, man, that's hot mess right there. Somebody told him to say that. He is repeating somebody else. All right. So listen, pastors, if you're leaning on your parishioners to take care of you. If y'all got a good thing going on, and the church is not broke, and there's not no poor people in that church, listen, you do what y'all do. I ain't got no problem with it. I turn the other cheek. I look this way. But if you're in ministry and they have to raise a couple offerings every Sunday just to make sure that they pay your salary, your behind need to get you a job application. You need to take the car that the church paid for and put a Uber sign in the window or a Lyft sign, and you need to get out there and I don't know, when you ain't studying, if you do study, get out there and drive around so that the church can at least not be so burdened down by your Xfinity, your cable, your cell bill, your mortgage, your LA Fitness bill, and your food bill, your insurance. I mean, that's a lot. And a lot of that's coming out of the pockets of these single mothers who are struggling just to pay their home, and so they feel guilty. Not so they forego their own house expenses so they can take care of yours. What kind of pimpology is that? All right. So especially if the church is a tithe-paying church, how could the church not have its bills paid if the church is the tithe-paying church based off of all of these promises y'all made by going into the scriptures to say that you will have no room to receive? Why are you saying that about individuals and you're not saying that about the house? What bank allows you to come in there and borrow money from them and then tell you all these things, that wonderful things that can happen to you if you borrow this money, if the bank itself ain't blessed? You going to the bank to get the resources so that you can have more resources, which tells me that the bank have more money than you. If Mariah Carey is worth $50 million, can you imagine what her recording label is worth? Are y'all understanding the concept here? Huh? Yeah. Anybody understanding this? Who's paying you is worth more. So if your church is receiving the tithe from individuals in the church, that means that the church itself is supposed to be blessed financially. Means the bill's supposed to be paid. And why do you have a mortgage on the church if you're telling the people that all their bills are going to be paid, but the church can't pay its bills? Do y'all understand The words is coming out of my rusty mouth. Huh? Anybody understand my words? I don't. Y'all have been hoodwinked, run amok. Plymouth Rock done landed on you. You been pimped. I don't understand. The church just can't afford it and be seeing the numbers. I have been on the board and I have seen it. Pastor has to get. Come on, William Hill. He got to get some kind of employment. He needs to sign up to. Maybe he can sign up to the finance room on Patreon, and so we teaching people how to get out of debt and possibly at one time in their lives become wealthy, or we talk about retirement and all this good stuff. He need to go to the room. Go to patreon.com, Sirwalterj Jones Show. Go into the finance room, and then we teach you some things that you need to consider. Because let me tell you, we're in a bull run right now, and that man who's getting ready to sit in that office January the 20th, that lemon right there, that lemon's getting ready to make us all some lemonade, some sweet lemonade. That refreshing drink, that cool, refreshing drink, something like that. Yeah, I'm telling you, I'm about to make some good lemonade off of this guy. And everybody who's talking around this guy. That Elon to the Musk, yeah, he gonna make me some money out all his stuff he's talking about. Listen, I'm looking at where the money is. Where the money going? Show me the money. I am a bi-vocational pastor working. I'm so glad you finished that because I read that wrong. A bi-vocational pastor working to be a travel. Come on, man. You going to be bi and try? My man, brother. That's what I'm talking about. Hard-working pastor. All right? It ain't like you got to work so hard that you ain't got no time to study the word of God, and you got to be walking and running in the church, breathing heavily because you had to work 12 hours the night before just to support your family. We ain't saying all that, but you need who builds a house and did not count up the cost. All right, y'all go into these positions in the church, and then you don't realize that the weight is on you. And now, people are calling you at 2 a.m., 3 a.m. You got to come out of your pocket. I can't tell you how many times as a pastor, an online pastor without walls, how many times I've had to come out of my pocket for people who call me pastor. I've never met them. I've never talked to them on the phone. I don't know what they look like, but they are in need. They call me their pastor. And so I've got to find a way to help these people somehow, some way. I got to find a way. All right, so God called me to this position, and I just don't always have it. And every time somebody reach out and I say, I'm getting ready to say I don't have it, and then one of the bunkers say, oh yeah, you do, you got it now, and they'll CashApp me, or they'll send me something in the PO box, or they'll PayPal me, or they'll do something, and I'm like, wow, what a blessing! Now I have it. Now you have it, and then God just used me as a portal. As a vehicle, and the money come in, and guess what? The money go right back out. It go right back out, and so, but I got bills. I got beans, greens, tomatoes. Okay, I got bills, and I got to pay those bills on time. Or what kind of man am I? I got to be good stewards of my money. And so I started the finance room so y'all can understand how we can just keep the money instead of just making it and then taking it out of our neighborhoods, take the money and invest it in something that you believe in, trust in. You got your phone, you got your laptop, you got all the stuff you trust. You use it. Why can't you have stock in it? Don't just be a consumer, be an investor and invest that money and then put money away every month and then maybe into an index fund, the S&P 500. Keep doing that for the next 5 to 10 years. You got time. You're young. You got time. Stop playing. God has said, tomorrow's not promised to you, blah, blah. You've been saying tomorrow's not promised to you for 40 years and you still here. What you could have done 40 years ago, instead of making those quotations, you could have been putting money away. Now you're up in age, you're like, I sure should have just been doing that instead of just saying tomorrow ain't promised to you. Act like it is and put some money away. Stop being a fool. Stop being a fool. Put that money away and give yourself a 10-year plan and watch what happens after 10 years. But you got to keep doing it every month. Do it. All the money we spend on everything that won't benefit us, take that money away from all of that stuff and put it into you. Pay you every month like you pay the church. Pay you every month. And after so many years, and then go without, y'all. You don't need all this stuff right now. Go without. Just go without. Delayed gratification is a blessing. Go it out, because the time is going to come when you're up in age, and now you're going to look back and say, where everything at? Where the money at? Where the assets at? Where my retirement at? The government going to take it away, Social Security, and all this other stuff going to die and burn and go to hell. Now you're going to look back and say, what did I do? I kept going to church and giving my tithes and offering faithfully, and now that church is not even here. That church and burned down. That church and disbanded. The pastor ran away with the deacon's wife. Okay, now all them thousands of dollars you put in there, and you have nothing to return. You have no return on your investment. Nothing. You have given that church thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars. They had a 30-year mortgage and took them 70 years to pay it off, and then the church burned down, and then they ran away. And you left with nothing but a whole bunch of receipts. Man, I am not falling for the banana in the tailpipe. Larry Jones, I'm not falling for the banana in the tailpipe. I am going out there and I am listening and learning from a community of investors and traders who are doing it and is working for them, and check the facts. I'm looking at the numbers. I'm seeing what happened in the last cycle. I saw what happened in the cycle before that. Now we in that cycle again, and I'm not doing this by myself. Somebody else is holding my hand while somebody is holding his hand and somebody holding her hand. We are part of a community who was looking out for each other, and woo, woo, woody, woo. That means we are sounding whistles. The wolf is coming, or the bell is ringing, or something is coming, and so we all can hear it because we're in a community. And then we come out of this together instead of being alone. No man is an island, you all. So your pastor need to at least take some classes. Hang out with Stockable Larry Jones, or hang out with Walter Jones, or Kenneth Grace, or Stockmore, or the Minority Reports, or all these other places that we talk about, in our room. We listen. We are a community, all right. And trust me, if y'all had been doing this, your churches wouldn't have any more mortgages. I don't understand that. Yeah, we're printing money while others are in fear. There would be no more need for fundraisers if you had just been listening to us for many years. Come on, Jerome Herod Bishop. Delayed gratification, it is a blessing. That sounds like good old preaching. Yes. We just think we got to have the latest stuff. You can't afford the latest stuff. Man, I mean, do y'all see what happened in the 2004? People were buying houses and didn't know how to understand how this stuff worked. And the banks was what they call that? Predatory lending. You walked in there with no job, with a 500 FICO score. They said, you want this house? You could have it. And that house, poor people was buying houses that was worth $400,000. I'm telling you, $400,000 houses. My friend had bought one. He was not credit worthy, and he wasn't on his job long enough. And they gave him that house, and then his mortgage tripled because he saw that big old house. It was just him and his wife. What you need all of them? Why you need 20 rooms? This is the poor man's mentality. This is how we think. We've got slave mentality, poor man mentality. We got projects mentality. It's ridiculous. And we're not patient. We're just not patient. And our impatience is what's killing us. That's why we're poor and we stay poor. The Democratic Party keeps us poor, and the black church keeps us poor. You're sucking on the breasts of the government because you just need. I don't understand us to save my life. I don't. Let's see, who is this? Truth is, most pastors can't sustain a household on a salary from the church. Yep, unless your pastor is a mega. Yep, outside employment is needed and other streams of income. Yes, yes. That's my favorite brother-in-law, y'all. Well, he my only one, but I'm trying to tell y'all, money is literally being transferred from the wicked to the wealthy. But all some church people do is shout. That's all y'all doing. Bumping it, bumping it, bumping it, bumping it, bumping it. Boogity, 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 boogity. That's all y'all doing is shouting and jumping, and the world is becoming wealthy off of being patient. Let me tell y'all something. There are people, I'm not telling y'all go out and get cryptocurrencies. Listen, if you don't know about it, don't worry about it. But there are people who have been holding on by dear life on cryptocurrency. Let's use an example, like XRP. There's an army called the XRP Army. They had been holding on that sucker for many, many years. It ain't new. They just been holding on. And whether it went up or went down, they held on. When XRP was just pennies, they held on all the way back to like 2017. That first market shift, that first cycle, they held on. They held on. And they held on. Then it came back around 2021, and they held on. And many of them had took a profit. And many of them decided not to take the profit because they said, no, we got too much faith in this, and we're just going to keep putting and investing in this because we have done the study. We've looked at the facts. We've looked at the company Ripple. We checked out. We were in a community of other investors, and we shut the door to everybody else. Just shut the door because there's a whole bunch of shysters out there, whole bunch of crooks out there, whole bunch of hackers out there, and everybody losing to everybody. Everybody losing, people losing their shirts, and you hold them. They hold on. They held on. Now that sucker's at it went up to like $2.77, and those people who had held on when it was like 50 cents, they had made a killing. They made a killing. Many of them cashed out and paid their bills, paid off their car notes and all kind of stuff because they held on. Others said, I ain't cashing out. I'm going to hold on because we believe it's going to go to $5 at least. Y'all listen to those people talking about some XRP people going to $1,000 and $10,000 a coin. Listen. Folks are throwing stuff in the air so y'all can go to their YouTube channels and get excited and crunch the numbers. I stopped following all that mess. I got a full Bitcoin at 18,000 and never sold. I got some Sui. I got some money in Sui, and a couple days ago, Sui went pew because Mr. Powell said, "Hey, the Fed don't mess with cryptocurrency. Bitcoin, we don't really fool with that." Folk got scared. start cashing out. I looked over there into my Sui wallet, and Sui went pew. And my logic said, you better not touch that. Leave it alone. Down, boy, down. Stop being these emotions and all this FOMO. Leave it alone, bro. Leave it alone. I mean, it was down. I was like, man, I put all this money in Sui. That was my flesh. But my logic said, leave it alone. And they'll come home wagging their tails behind them. And I woke up this morning, and I just waited a few more hours, and Sui went, every dollar I had lost, I regained it 24 hours later. You got to have patience. And you black folks, kill me with that. You got to have it right now. And you ain't patient. So many millionaires were made because they were patient. Patient. I'm 38 years old. Oh, I'm sorry. My 38 years old. I'm like, George, you 38? Owns 20 Bitcoin. He tried to encourage me and his mom years ago. We now late to the party, but we here. You sound like Color Purple. I may be black. I may be, but God knows I'm here. He owns 20 Bitcoin. His 38-year-old. Bitcoin is at, today it was like 97,000 a coin. Y'all understand? Huh? But y'all in church shouting, jumping up and down, acting the fool, and getting poorer and poorer and poorer because somebody put the fear in you that you got to give all this money to the church and then you got to take care of the pastor, and y'all got the pastor on a salary, and then the first Sunday would go, the money from the first Sunday would go to him, and then y'all would have a pastor's anniversary. I don't understand the logic in the black church. I just don't. I lose words. I need more words. I've lost the English vernacular. I can't understand. That's $2 million. I can't understand. So what are you doing all week? Huh? What are you doing Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday? Watching just church shows? Watching TBN, the Word Network, the Church Channel, Daystar? And what are they talking about? The same old formatted, wash, rinse, and repeat, recycled stuff that don't help you whatsoever. And then they do a little fundraiser, and then now you got to give all this money to a place. You can't even call them for prayer. You can't call the man or the woman up there, Joyce Myers, you can't call her. She ain't calling you back. And here we are. We right here. We are right here. Right here. The bunkers reach out to me, and I accept their phone calls, their emails, and any messages. We touch one another. Reach out and touch. And I have tried my best to give them all that God has given me. I'm touchable. You can touch me. You can talk to me. You can talk to me. Try calling these guys on these TV shows. You can't get to them. Can't get to them. And you listen to every word and whim, and you send your money over there, and then you get some letter back that is mass produced. It's a rubber stamp signature. I don't understand. So many of y'all could be well off today if you had just shut down the noise. Because let me tell you, the wealth transfer, I don't think I have ever seen such a potential of wealth transfer. And y'all know I'm a historian. At least I play one on television. And I have never seen such a promise of wealth transfer in this generation. I have never seen one in any other generation in American history. From the silent generation, which they call maybe the greatest generation, to the baby boomers, to the Generation X, I have never seen such a transfer of wealth that's going to happen over in the next few years. And we're at the beginning of it, not at the end. We're at the very beginning of the wealth transfer, beginning of it. And that money that the baby boomers had stored up, and some of them Generation Xers, ooh-wee, trillions of dollars is flowing down to the next generation, flowing down. And you really want to be a part of that. All right? So your pastor, he probably need to get him a job. He can get a part-time job. That's fine. Again, Paul was still hammering stakes in the ground, putting up tents, while he was traveling all over Asia Minor, preaching the gospel and setting up churches. He doing this on the side, making that money so he can afford to travel by Amway or Amtrak, all right? He had to fly Spirit Airline. He couldn't even afford a United Airline ticket. He had to go Spirit and Frontier while he doing this. And he said, I can receive. I am an apostle. I should be able to receive. God told me I can, but he says, I prefer not to. Let me do this because the people can't really afford me. They can't afford me. And he said, let me go over here and collect this money. Before I get there, I got to collect this money because I got to take it over there to the Macedonian church. At the Macedonian church, take this money and would take it over to the Jerusalem church because these people are poor. Meanwhile, let me tell you about and he starts singing the chain gang. Well, my time is up. 35 minutes in. And y'all are prophets. Y'all said it wasn't going to be short. Y'all are sure enough prophets. Y'all are prophets. Any questions? Any concerns? Did I lose any subscribers? Y'all don't subscribe anyway. Y'all don't subscribe to my channel. Stop playing. Yeah, most people don't subscribe to these channels. Y'all sure don't subscribe to my channel. And it's okay. When did this become common practice for pastors to rely solely on tithe and offerings to pay all their bills and financial obligations? This has been going on since the earlier days of the church. Azusa Street revival changed a whole lot of stuff. It wasn't always this way because many pastors was doing this for free. And they were out there working. And the Lord called them. I appreciate you too, Pastor Jacob. The Lord called them, and then they set up their parishes or their little storefront churches up in the north, or if they were in the south, they had these little churches, house churches, what have you. And then they would just collect the offering for expenses of the utilities and what have you, but they wasn't collecting the salary because they couldn't collect the salary. That's how many of these churches started. All right. Once they started getting bigger, then the church was able to afford to pay them, which is no problem. Because again, the scriptures does say that we should give double honor or payment to those who preach the gospel. But here's the problem. The pastor ain't the only one preaching. Come close. Joyce, do your job. Come close. Pastor ain't the only one preaching. He didn't say just do that for the pastor. That's the problem in the American church, that the pastor is the only one that's supposed to get paid. No, he said those who are laboring in the word. That could be the elder. That can be the minister. And in some churches, the deacon are the ones who preaching. But y'all know it. The church can't afford to pay everybody. But they all pay the pastor. How much trouble am I in? How much trouble am I in? Let me play this music because I got things to do tonight. It's 4:00 and I got places to go tonight. My barber, we decided to do my barber tomorrow because around, stuff is going on. Our stove is out. My stove, I got a daughter here with 2 beautiful grandchildren, and she cooks for them every morning, breakfast and lunch if she ain't at work. She need a stove, and that stove said, no more, we are done. We're done. And the stove said, you can't cook not another meal here. So I had to start giving, and I had to go dig in my breast purse and looking for some coins because, I didn't want no used. I had just bought a brand new refrigerator just a couple months ago. Y'all remember that? Then the stove went out this week. So I had to go back on Lowe's or wherever and find one that I know is going to last for another 50 years. Of course, these things don't last like the old appliances did back in the day. They lasted for 100 years. But now they don't last that long. So I had to go and buy a stove so the baby girl can feed my grandbabies. Y'all understand? And it's tough. It's tough. It's tough. It's tough. It's tough. And then they said, we're going to be there from the hours of 11:30 to 3. They ain't came. Baby girl said, they emailed me at 7:30 this morning saying they can't come. And I said, when you going to tell me? She said, I don't check my email. Messed up my whole day. So my uploads on Patreon was late last night because waiting on the stove man to come, and he ain't coming till tomorrow. This is the kind of stuff that pastors got to go through. I got to work hard so that y'all can get the word of God. Meanwhile, my house be exploding. You understand? And I don't tell y'all my problems because y'all be worried about me. Y'all sure be worried about me. Y'all be worried about me. I don't like when y'all worried about me. So I got to go in my breast purse and have to pay for everything. And every now and then somebody send me something in the Sirwalterj Show CashApp. I say, the Lord, you sure is good. You sure is blessing me through this community. Hallelujah. Now let me take this over to Lowe's and give it to them. Here, Lowe's. Because I'm not going to my investment account. No, sirree. I leave that money alone. I have an emergency account, but that's for emergencies. The battery on my car said, we ain't starting right now because it's wintertime and we're done. We're done. Nothing. I already knew that was going to be another $300-400 because I don't want no cheap nothing. You don't put no cheap diehard in a $60,000 Infinity. You don't put no cheap battery. Well, I knew I had to buy a battery, but what did I do? I went into my emergency fund and I pulled that money out and gave it to the man, and he came by and he changed the battery. So I can't be telling y'all to do these things and I ain't doing it. Go to patreon.com, Sirwalterj Show, go into the finance room, and we talk about these things that you need to prepare for. I don't buy no extra extended warranties. My warranty on my Infinity went out. It's done. It reaches 4 years, and then I got a notice from CarShield. Hey, we've been waiting on this day. If you accept us, we'll cover your car for blah, blah. I took that CarShield thing and I put it in the shredder to further shred it. I don't want no sign of CarShield up in here. No. I put money in the envelope for that kind of stuff. I don't need to pay all this extra monthly stuff and for me to give you thousands of dollars over time, and then my car break, and then I take it to you, and then you're like, you know what, we can't fix that. that part ain't covered. I ain't falling for the banana in the tailpipe. Nope. Where do you learn that stuff? Go to the Sirwalterj Show, Patreon.com. I love y'all. Ain't nothing you can do about it. Take care of yourselves and one another. I see y'all for Sunday school. Sunday school is marching on tomorrow at 9 p.m. Central Standard Time. Movie night, Sunday night at 9 Central Standard Time. We are a beautiful, close-knit community on Patreon. Hang out with us. We won't steer you wrong. All right? Take care of one another. CarShield is okay until you need it. I know, man. I know. I got too many people who testified how CarShield, they didn't pay them $5,000 and $6,000, and then CarShield said, nope, that little screw right there, we can't. That's not in the contract. We don't take care of screws or nuts. Basically, what they're saying to you is, you the screw, you the nut.
Fellas, does it seem like you can't get a good woman? Ladies, wonder why you can't keep a man? Then read The 4 Women That Men Desire, Volume 1, by Sirwalterj to figure out how to break the cycle. Go to Amazon.com to get your copy today.